Welcome to Albion TV presents the AO Daily Show, your source of real news in an unreal world, keeping you up to date on the latest news, events, and the great community of Albion Online. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of June, and I am your host, the Shozen one, and joining me today, as always, is Bogul. How are you doing today, Bogul?
I'm doing quite fine, sir. Doing quite fine. I feel like getting something to eat. Maybe some spinach.
Bacon?
No, something vegan.
Oh, you don't want to be a vegan today because we don't have any spinach on the plate. We don't have any broccoli. No, we have bacon, Bogle. We have today an interview with Bacon of the Bacons of the Bacons of the Bacons. So I think I think that if you like bacon, today is a good day.
Well, we not only talked about food. No, actually, I don't think we talked about food at all.
We didn't talk about food at
No.
all. That was an entire troll in the last show. I only said that to get people to come watch because I know people love watching cooking shows about bacon.
Well, we did talk not only about his history a little bit, right? We talked about his organization, and I felt like he gave a pretty good idea of what these guys do, the Bacons and the Going Ham Alliance.
Mhm.
But he also had some things to say about the cluster queue, the smart cluster
He had a
queue.
lot to say about the cluster queue, and I figured today would be a good day to do this interview because tomorrow we will be talking about the new changes to cluster queue,
Mhm.
and I think it's good to talk about the old one last time before the new one comes into play, and then we have to find somebody who's willing to talk about that.
But
And
yeah.
once again, I'm gonna put this out to the audience. If you like the cluster queue, and you would like to come on and talk about how much you like the cluster queue, we would love to give another side of the story.
One more important question, Chosen, very important for today's show. Will there be raffles today?
Oh, there will always be raffles. There's always raffles.
All right.
Yes, during the
Okay.
interviews. And so we will be doing that. I'll probably pull 2 or 3 different sets of raffles throughout the show today. Maybe something like 3, 4, maybe 5. I don't know how many raffles we're going to pull. It really depends on how many people claim the prizes. But it's a very long interview, so we're not going to do any more rambling. We're not going to talk any more news. The news will be back tomorrow. Today, it's all about the bacon.
All right, guys. Then I will play this and enjoy this very interview. It was recorded when chosen just 2 days ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Albion TV interview series. Today, Bogul and I are joined by Bacon of the Bacons of the Bacons, I guess. So, Bacon, what's cooking with Bacon and the Bacons?
Hello, I'm Bacon, the Bacon in game. I'm the leading of the Bacon's guild, also the Bacon Going Ham Alliance here on the Albion. We are newer player, casual, also with veterans group, settling and living in Outlands currently. Some people might know and have noticed it as around because we have been on the same place as forever. And yeah, that's about the basics for me.
Yeah. Well, I understand that Bacon's isn't just like a bacon alliance here in Albion, that you've got a full-on multi-gaming bacon community.
Yes, we played for a long time, multiple guilds, game servers. At first, like before Discord, right? We as a TeamSpeak community, then we have a website, then we moved to game servers and guilds on like Guild Wars 2, YesO, Eve, Life is Feudal. Some games similar to Albion, others more PvE based. And right now we have mostly focused on Albion because this game sinks a lot of time, so I can't multitask anymore.
Yeah, as the leader of an alliance and guild in Albion, you don't get a lot of free time. You really end up having to put too much on somebody else if you do that. We've seen it before. So you say you were in another game before, and now you came to Albion. When did you come to Albion? Because it's been a while since we talked, and I can't remember how long ago it was that you guys made the transition from those other games over to here.
I've played Albion on the beta. I remember when I came back, my character was wiped, so it was like before the wipe, at least. But the community only transitioned last year. Bacons was created pretty much when I started replaying the game in like February, March 2019, so over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been ongoing ever since.
Well, that's not too bad. And you guys have been in the Black Zone for as long as Queen has been around. When it was the old map, were you guys still in the Black Zones?
Yes, before Queen, we owned the city on the Outlands, city plot. Not for long, like for like almost a month before the new Outlands came. And we already were getting used to play on the Outlands and securing our routes and the gankers and the GBG, which was, as you know, the elite, top elite type of thing. We have to use mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
We changed it. Now it's just mercenaries of another type.
Yeah, you need a lot of bodies.
Yes. And then Wildlands came, and we, on the first day, like we came to Thetford, decided, and then we saw who moved to Thetford, and then like, no, that's like that. I was in like 1941, like take care, Santa Quizzy to all of those guilds, and it was impossible. And we just like bridge watched the same day, moved everyone, changed portal locks, and placed the hideout in Battle Bay Plain, which is now our home.
Okay, so I thought you guys went out there and you had a little bit of an issue. So you've been in Battle Bay Plain since the first day of Queen. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well
all
done.
that happened in all that I mentioned happened on the same day.
Okay. All right. And you guys have had a quite a battle for that zone over the last couple of months. I've been hearing that you've had situations where you're pushed right up against defeat, and sometimes you've had to reach out for lots of assistance, and other times you've had to, I don't know, even start fighting your friends at times.
Well, but this home territory has mostly been quiet. It's mostly a lot of politics and this and that. The biggest battles we ever had for this disputing this was usually Clap with the Freaks. And that was like, we had like round 1 until round 9 and 10 of them trying to take the tower, and we kept defending it. But we never had intentions of evicting each other from the zone.
Okay.
We have had problems with some of the big groups which have the, as you know, the type of bully mentality, be that squad, be that PoE, they both can do the same thing, depending on the context. But we always kept pretty stable and neutral. And today, and our relationship with Clap and Freaks came from fighting each other almost every day and disputing each other's things, to pretty much working together on a daily basis on a coalition that we have that also involves Arch.
Well, that's good. Like mutual respect gained over time through combat and a lack of shit talk. Well done, guys. Well done.
Yeah, we didn't have to do much drama or much. There's a lot of giveaways, right? As a group like us, we are newer, casual. We don't have this top CVC force. We don't have this massive financial front to sustain 3, 4, 5 CTAs a day like these big guilds are out there. We try to do everything, all types of content, but we mediated what we wanted with what others wanted. Like, so we didn't start like, I'm diplomat type, I'm politics type, which is sort of like Latin, if you haven't noticed it. Always try to resolve and mediate and see what middle ground you achieve, because I also have to live up to the expectations of my members, and they always, like, as we know, usually the members of this game, the members of guilds don't kind of understand that this game is run by politics, right? And the one with the biggest military tends to make the rules because they can enforce their rules. If you don't have a stronger military than they do, you really have to give in to the rules that they want to set for whatever, or the rules or the agreements or whatever. If you can, or if you can counter, or if you have friends, then you can be on a different position. But that has been mostly our life in Battle Royale. It has been very quiet since this season started. Nothing really happened. It was we only got the tower like almost at the end of the last season. We didn't own it when we had the hideouts, and then we owned it, and then we secured more the zone, and we centralized it more, and now it's just home. We don't really go around on a conquest. We don't want all the territories. We don't want to really expand. We just want our own corner of the Outlands. People play. People have ZVZ, gank, farm, 5v5. We have now a good 5v5 team. Like, we've been managing to keep the territories that we have at level 4, which is good.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, we have more than that takes a while, right? For money and
I'm kind of impressed. Well done, guys. You know, how many Crystal League teams do you have?
1.
Oh, well, okay, there you go. Sometimes you have to start with 1. Are you going to get any of those other guys into like those level 1 crystals? You know, get your level 4 guy going out there. Guys, I can teach you. I can teach you how to put on gear and run into other people with gear on.
You see, our officer, which is on this case Braxton, which leads our GBG, he's always trying. He's like constantly poking our members, like, just come interested on ZVZ. He trains them, he explains them, he screams over and over until they get good and know what to do to fight on the Crystal GBG scenario. But it's extremely hard to get someone to get interested on these 5v5 things, because it takes a lot of responsibility. Like ZVZ, it's easy compared to GBG, because on ZVZ it's not much about you doing a small mistake or a big mistake. You always mostly notice it. But on Crystal, one player has a lot of responsibility, and new players or more casual players see that as it's very threatening, right? A lot of responsibility, and they usually, after they get losses, they get demoralized, and it's very hard to retain or develop GBGers. There's some people who are already used to this, and they just do it because they like it and they already know how to do it. But getting someone new into Crystal GBG is hard.
No, it is. It really is, and that's why I think SBI has worked so hard to lower the bar of entry. Like, now it's lower than it's ever been before. When you could lose gear and it was expensive to get into, and you would go up against some of the highest level players in the game day in and day out. Yeah, I think it was too much for most players. Now I hope to see more people try it out, but for a daily grind situation and as a main staple of gameplay, I can understand for most players it's still probably really hard to do, for the exact reasons you say. It's very much about every single click that you make, and somebody is looking at that. You know, your teammates are relying on you to hit the right buttons at the right time for every single play.
Yeah, one mistake tends to get punished. One thing that my officers do hate about the change where they made the level 1, the entry crystals, no full loot, is that they are as unrealistic as possible for what comes next.
Well,
like, it's people die, respawn, and then when they come next, they don't respond. They cannot play that aggressive. It's a completely different thing.
Well, that's why I'm hoping that that we see some future changes to that level 1 a little bit.
Maybe the timer of responding, like, being much longer. Maybe then it's going to be more realistic.
Cap it at 5 sets. You die 5 times, you're just out of sets, which is kind of like a realistic limit.
A realistic GBG, yeah.
And I think that just putting anything in there to just make it a little bit more like the real thing would be good. Because I know that when it comes to scrims even, players get mad, not just about the no loss of gear, but the timers weren't correct. Like when you would die. So people would be like, no, this isn't the correct timer. This isn't the right pacing. So you have to make the level 1 crystals as much like the level 2s as you possibly can. And I agree. Infinite sets, there's some fun gameplay to be had in that. I mean, but, you know, at some point, you kind of want the event to feel more realistic.
That much is true.
Let's start talking about what else you guys are doing besides crystals. You said you're functional in ZVZs. How many times a day do you go out? And what is your goal? Is it generally defensive, or do you guys go after like castles or outposts?
Since recently, a few in the last weeks, we got crazy on ZVZ, right? So we joined the coalition, which is called the Trio of Trash, which is with Arch, Clap, and Bacon, which are groups of newer players, more new player friendly, more casual. And the idea of these is to not let ourselves be bullied by these big groups. Just come here and just, you out of the map because I can and I say so.
Mm-hmm.
So because if we ever been on our own, we will be easily be kicked around all the time, and we still are, but less. So one of the hardest things that we started doing is the hand-holded fights. For example, Squad started attacking. They took territories we had on like Persian cliffs, and Squad starting attacking one of the stages of Arch. And then Arch just decided, okay, let's all get our own Zergs and coordinate and counter Squad, because Squad brings 700 plus to the zone every day.
Wow.
So
you're talking about like the Rang conflict.
Yes.
Yeah.
BA
Sex
too.
With okay.
X,
all right. And sex with X. All right.
Yeah. We had to deal with them for like 4 or 5 rounds of this. It's very complicated. So we weren't used to this. We used it, defended our territory, playing defensive, doing castle outposts here and there. We never really got into the point where, okay, now we are doing hand-holded fights with thousands of players on the area trying to get into one map. And everything is different. So we have to be coordinated with like a lot of other shot callers.
Mm-hmm.
We are in a map, we have an objective, we might be on one side map controlling the zone queue to not let them queue, and like you know how they exploit the queue by controlling multiple exits. So everyone, like if you don't play the same game that they do, then you get exploited and kicked out of the zone. Eventually, I hope the developers fix that. But right now, it makes the fights very linear. It's about who controls the zone queue, who kind of wins. And we were like, just okay, let's just be on the map next to it. And we were with our Zergs, we were with Clap most often, and also sometimes Arch were also there, some of their Zergs. So on the first days, right away, there comes conflict, max CTA. There comes A&O max CTA. And then 2 days later, we had to deal with the main Zerg of Sex with X. We had to run into really hard fights, very coordinated fights. We weren't used to this. So this coordination, like the response time, strategy between callers, communication, anything mishaps, and everything goes to hell. Like one bad call, one bad movement, one movement not made in time, right? Because these groups are very experienced. So you cannot do mistakes. They know how to punish them.
The way you're talking, it's very parallel to what you were saying about the 5v5s, but instead of in a situation where the players are controlling their fingers, and hitting the right buttons at the time, they're relying on their ability to get their commands out correctly and their players to follow those. So instead of training up your personal skills to hit buttons correctly, you're training up players to follow directions, which is, I don't know, that's a completely different style of gameplay, but
oh my god, it's insane. It's like you have 10 people yelling at you in one team speak. You have a Zerg to shot call at the same time. You are in a literally brain freeze. The people who do this have to be training this for a long time to get used to it. It's like you have to simultaneously respond to the other shot callers, listen to them, pay attention, call your Zerg. It's overwhelming. We've been doing that. Like I can say that Bacon, we were involved on very meta fights. A lot of them didn't go well because of obviously these communication bits. It's more about the movement, more about the communication than it is about the fight. Because if you move to the right place, if you react to the right place in time, that's it. The other Zergs that are working together against the Zergs that are working together against you It's all about that. I've noticed that it's different. It's not just one Zerg versus one Zerg and you do whatever and do a normal fight. It's all about coordination. Different type of thing. We had some fights. We had some good moments. We had some bad moments doing that. That was our first experiences with this. After that, we started working as well with Clap, with Freaks more closely. We work kind of very well with Freaks, which is we share the same mentality. We don't really mind like open world content, like unless it's like during a CTA, we're working together. Okay, from this point on, we're neutral. Let's not kill each other. And then after the CTA ends, everyone is back to ganking each other. Like, we don't have these annoying problems where when one of my alliance guild ganked one of the shot callers of Blue Army in the red zone. He was going through a tunnel or something like that. He got ganked. He sends me a message and launched the battle replaying territory with Blue Army. We don't have that problem. These guys are easily triggered or whatever. But between us, we just play well. Like we say, okay, let's just do a world boss or let's do castle outposts. So maybe today you get the points, tomorrow I get the points, right? We're doing this together because we're living on a handholded map. So we handhold each other, but within groups that are also not top tier or whatever, but together we're not weak.
Yeah, it's like the idea of an open hand, you know? Each finger individually isn't strong, but if you can close that fist, you can actually get something done with it. I like that. Get together and work together.
Yeah, because like even for small, the game wasn't designed for like this, right? You go for a small castle outpost and there's 1 or 2 T4 blobs contesting it just because they want to soak in all the objectives in the area and they don't want them to be contested. So there we run into situations where I think Clap took some outposts from Conflict, and Conflict decided, okay, I'm going to go there and evict them. And then we also go there because we have mutual defense. Okay, we're going to help them defending their hideout. If Conflict wants them, they will have to win the battle. And we managed to defend their siege. And it was with help of Arch, we did politics. They didn't really got involved on that. It was just as and Clap. And I think they eventually stopped trying.
Well, at least for now, I mean.
For now, for now, it's like with me with Conflict or BA or rank, it's sort of like you should be open for content. Like, do not expect that just because you can just say, okay, don't touch my outposts, or I'm going to go there and evict you from the map, right? Using those type of flexes, it's not what benefits this game. What benefits this game is if you go there, okay, let's fight. And because you clearly have the advantage, you are far more veteran players, more experienced players, so we are just trying to get the small objective, so just come and fight. Like, at least I don't rat, I don't go there trying to steal it on the last minute with a small group. No, that's not what Bacons do. If I want to go to something, I'm going to CTA, form a Zerg, and we're ready to fight. If you bring a reasonable fight for us, like if I have a T3 blob and they bring 2 T4s, I'm not going to
fight that. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't make sense that even for the content, it would be over so fast. But against 1 T4 maybe, right? Yeah.
I mean, even on equal numbers, they have clearly a massive gap on IP that they have on us and things like that. It's a very hard fight by default. So even playing that just with more numbers and different tags working together against smaller groups like us doesn't really make sense. It kind of ruins the game because it just feels like denial. Well, it's not content. It's just, I just want to guarantee the win.
Exactly. But you know why they do that? It's for the reason that you said before. When you went in there and took their outpost, right? They had to go flex on you. It was all about flexing. It was Fricks or something. But it's about the flex, you know? It's saying, hey, do you understand how much more powerful we are than you? And you came and stepped to us. We're just going to use our power on you and just show you how much more powerful we are than you. And in 4 days, break you, is what they're thinking. But I don't, for you guys, I don't think that they're going to be able to do that because
of the coalition we have, really. I mean, the idea of us working together, it's to be able to live together on Outlands. PvP is PvP, content is content, but going around trying to evict each other is not a good thing.
This whole narrative of destroying the game just because you can't fight even fights is always weird to me, and I want to say something against that, but I'm still trying to sort of collect my thoughts. But I mean, if it's a territorial conquest game, then that's the better strategy, apparently.
Well, currently it is.
But
yeah.
and then if you want fair fights, you should go Crystal or I don't know, Arena. And so I just want to put a little bit of counter pressure towards that narrative. I mean, in the end, it's a partially, at least, a territorial conquest game. No.
You have this issue where you can guarantee everything with mere numbers or mere top guilds working together towards a small objective or a big objective, which denies almost everyone else from even trying because they know they can't. So, of course, if you have the setup, you can use it. The game is sandbox, so it doesn't block that. But I don't think that's what the game was made to play out as. Of course, castles, a big castle, that's where these big-ass things should go. But for a castle outpost bringing 200 people, it's weird. Because when the developers from what they always said, when they added these small objectives for ZVZ, was so smaller groups could take them, or they did that on the borders of the map. But as is, everything is soaked from the borders to the inner circle to the same groups. It doesn't matter if it is inner circle, if it doesn't matter if it is a small point scoring or a high point scoring. It just matters how many resources they put towards one or the other. It's a struggle to any group that, of course, it's more I am and holding with other groups as well, so we can counter these type of fights. But as I was talking when it was with Arch, they are not really fun. It's not really fun to handhold fights. It's a very exhausting process between colors and logistics and all of that, with a lot of coordination, it's more about movements, coordination. Many times you don't even get it, then you have to play against the queue system to even get into this type of fights. And I don't find that really part of what makes the game fun. It just makes, and all the fights are not fun on my aspect. They can be fun, but more often than not, they are really chaotic. They are really high pressure and exhaust and wear down both members and colors a lot.
What the devs were trying to accomplish with the outpost, I felt at the time, the idea was that by having multiple objectives like that, it might spread out the Zerg, if you will, to be in multiple spots with some smaller groups, and they would try to collect them all at the same time. But that's not exactly what happened. They seem to, most of the time when you see those situations, a large force is able to power project over a large area, and then no group can participate in those events if it does not have a large enough group, because it's so easy to move a large group.
Yeah, so we were having these castle outposts doing them, but we have scouts all over the place because we have to. That's the smart way. And then we have a smaller force on the outpost, which is how they do it. But there's a T4 or T5 blob somewhere that's going to come reinforce. So as soon as we pick the fight, the scouts start reporting, get out, because there's 200 people coming our direction. And we just have to withdraw. Because we know it's not going to be possible, or even if it is possible with our numbers, like we can just as in clap alone, we can CTA 200 if we have to, or I can, because if I force the people, but we don't play with mandatory CTAs, or we don't really pressure people too much. They join if they want, or join here, usually every once in a while, right? So the guild still works as a guild, but we're not really pressuring you to be here every day, max CTA, everything like they do. So I want to give people I think it's a better experience. Like, of course, those who want to play hardcore will play like that because they want to play like that, but I think most players just want more what kind of we offer, which is you have territories, you have ZVZ, you have 5v5, you have ganking, you have hideouts, right? And you can still do a bit of everything. You are not forced to CTA, you are not forced into content you don't want to take. You just do it as you feel comfortable, and the guild still works. I think that's kind of our ideology as our guild. It's still to be as open as possible, as community friendly. It's not about the shinies, it's about the community that we have. So I'm not going to give that up so I can counter this big boys setup on every piece of content.
Do you think that the upcoming Roads of Avalon, which seems to be targeted towards small groups, will be something you'd be interested in? Or do you feel that you're large enough that that's too small for you and you're going to have to now fight against these larger groups with fewer small groups around? Because who knows what will happen to some of those arch groups? A lot of those small guilds might go, hey, we can find what we need without having to deal with this ridiculous ZVZ situation and the cluster queues. We can break up and go into smaller groups. Do you see that happening?
I've seen they have design videos and them explaining what the Roads of Avalon are.
Mm-hmm.
And I find them interesting for these small groups of people. But what we have right now is something that I think doesn't make you interested on the roads too much, because like when you have nothing, when you are sort of rogue guild, right? You have nothing. You don't have home hideouts. You don't have territories. You don't have a system as a guild that keeps this home centralized location we play from. I guess that's where the roads will work very well, and that's most of the guilds of this game. So that's most of these guilds are usually smaller casual groups that cannot or don't want to play this ZVZ content. So that will allow, or even will attract people to move from Royals to Outlands.
Mm-hmm.
But a group like us, when we already have a setup like that, and we already play ZVZ and have this ZVZ centralization on our guild, and people who want this type of content and have a home, I think it will not be benefiting us very much, or will not drive the setup of our guild towards the roads, because I think the roads is something a bit too random. They come in, they come out. You might go there, explore everywhere there, but to live there, different story, right?
Yeah, I can understand that. I just wanted to see what your thoughts on that were, because I think that what you guys have with the ability to get a lot of smaller groups together, like you said, you're working with Arch, you got like Fricks together. I don't know who else is in the Clap Alliance right now besides Fricks. It's just Fricks, really, right? Is there...
Fricks, the Clap is Fricks and the Knights something. And then they have some smaller or bigger newer player guilds. Kingsmen, sorry.
I know the Kingsmen. Okay, all right, yeah. I worry about those kinds of groups, getting smaller and then having to go against these large groups that have found this gameplay where bringing that super large force works for them so well for victory that I don't see. I just worry about some of these smaller groups. I hope Bacon can survive. You guys seem to have a good, secure foothold, and you're working together well with the Fricks and Arch. I think Arch has been doing very well with some of its main groups lately.
Yeah, Arch. I think a lot of Arch guilds might just go because they are all small.
Yeah.
Even PvEers, I mean, they just get into the alliance because Arch has that setup to get on their alliance, right? So they have access to all these hideouts and territories, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of Avalonian roles, I think it's going to be more attractive to guilds like Arch, and maybe even some of our guilds. But currently, the ones we have, even ours, want this type of content, which will be like more organized, more or large groups, or the ZVZs, right? Mm-hmm. Or the more organized gankings and these structural things. That's not going to be too attractive to them. I know people will always come in, and at the beginning, everyone is going to go to the Roads of Avalon, and I think they're going to get some cute or something, as usual. But then I think it's going to start mediating, and people will come back to the normal content they want to take.
Okay. Yeah, that's
because people are always frustrated at me. Like I was saying about the handholders and how we started picking and running into this type of content, which is with very experienced groups or very large scale fights, which are very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And we also don't get very good results and experiences either, which is why I don't like handholded fights. I just have to admit that if I don't do it, I can't win.
No, I if you can't beat them, join them, I guess, right?
Yes, sort of.
Yeah.
That's how this game works. Once someone started doing this one thing about, okay, if we all split our alliance into these big deals with our own tag, then we can just bypass the buff, bypass the queue system, and just get that advantage, right?
Yeah, well, people
And
are going to take
that's
the
what
easiest
everyone
path.
did.
Yeah, of course. 100%. People are always going to take the path that gives them the greatest chance to victory, no matter what it does to content.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think on one of the big mistakes of the developers was doing something against the alliance system that just made it very clear that you will be better without being on the same alliance than being on the same. So it made coalitions and holding the met. And coming back from that, it's going to be extremely difficult because you cannot control the human factor. You started a standard that you will hardly roll back from.
Yeah,
Like people just figure, well, despite anything they do, they will always agree, like, okay, you and me, or you and me and that guy, let's not attack each other and attack that guy. That human factor will never be defeated and will continue to mean that the monopolies stand.
I would argue that this was the foreseeable outcome anyways. I don't even think that rolling back something like this is an option because there's a natural consequence of.
Well, there was it was two different gameplay things. One, they made it so that working together in alliance had negative penalties, working together outside of an alliance had advantages, and having a numbers advantage against your opponent was exponentially advantageous. When you do all those things, you're going to create a situation where this is all that the outcome could be. And I don't think any of us had the perfect sight to see it. And I hope that something happens to make it so.
I had this thread on the forums, and then Korn, is Korn or Zorn?
Korn, yes.
Yeah. He link when he posted a thread about asking for feedback. He linked that thread that I posted where I said before Queen released, what was the name? Why will the Queen's update design backfire on the developers? That's the title, and I already said there, like, if you hurt the alliances too much, or if you make the ZVZ meta, it's gonna push people into a different setup that's gonna be more than ever before.
I think that, yeah, absolutely. There were people who were saying that. I don't think we knew how much of an advantage the numbers situation was going to be, though, with the queue. It's kind of been a little bizarre. I hope we get to see some situations.
Even recently, I started learning the things of how they actually exploit the queue system, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. Like, you can be inside of the hideout on a zone queued zone, so you cannot queue to that map. But because the meta is to control all the exits of the map so you can get more people in that zone, right? That's how that PoE squad, etc. are doing it.
Yep. So you can zone them out by forcing the queue.
Zone out an entire Zerg from that hideout to that one zone where they're all in, and just, like, it's literally fast travel. And it works. It's kind of an interesting tactic.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different exploits going on right now. We saw this crazy situation in a tunnel over the weekend. The inability to zone out when people are queuing from the outside in. There's some weird situations going on, and people are very smart. They're very good at.
Find always the workaround.
Yeah, we have that. What is it, Bogul, when you have 1,000 people trying to figure out a problem? The cloud, basically. We're getting the human cloud to do it. Crowdsourcing, yeah, that's the word, Bogul. Thank you. You're so good at these words.
Crowdsourcing works.
I like crowdsourcing, right? Get it on the internet. The internet gives me the answer. Tells me when I'm wrong.
Or that's people type of frustrations with the game. I think it's the same frustrations as many other people and other groups that are playing. Even those who use these mechanics and exploits against their enemies because they have to, so they can get any small advantage.
Right. How do you blame somebody for taking the advantage?
Yeah, they don't like it, but you have to do it. And I started playing, like, zone queued fights are not fun. It's you trying to get into a zone, and then sometimes the shot caller might not even be on the zone, and then we had to make, okay, we need a shot caller assigned for those who are zone queued out of the map because they get flanked. Like all of these different things started changing how we do everything.
Like
I was like,
three
oh,
different
God, this
levels
is
of shot caller you need, right? You need to have your shot callers inside who are shot calling your shot callers, your shot caller for each group to lead the groups, and then you need your alternate shot caller and his alternate shot caller, depending on who gets kicked out first.
You know when Link Licker was the color of arts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You likely know the memes about him.
Yeah, I've heard
Yellow.
some of them. Yeah, I've heard some noise.
So you can imagine being on the voice scopes of arts with a shot caller with 20 people screaming.
Yeah, that's what I was going to wonder. I was going to ask you earlier. You said you have that situation where your microphone, like you have to use push to talk because your microphone picks up your headset.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage that in any kind of arch comms when somebody's always talking?
Two push to talk keys, one for TeamSpeak, one for Discord. So the problem is I cannot understand what's going on the main call. So I'm just trying to figure out what's going on and why they want me to do. And then I'm like doing another key to relate to a different channel, which is going to be the shot caller. So, okay, so it doesn't have to be overwhelmed by that insanity, travesty that's going on the main call. So in some Zergs, I see that they do this. Some callers actually are on the main comms, but others just assign someone who just sees all that's going on and filters out just the right call, like move west, flank, withdraw, mount up and leave, or whatever it is the call to react. It's a bit complicated because it's like a middleman off, and then the delay might mean death, but it needs to be done because the poor caller. I mean, after I've been on those CTAs, at the end you're so mentally exhausted. Like it's very draining. I wasn't expecting all that it takes for me to remain focused, to not let myself get overwhelmed and do something stupid. And sometimes I did something stupid. But it's really hard. That's why I don't like it. I liked this game when it was just one Zerg versus another Zerg, and who wins. But that's and my players feel the same way. And I'm trying to mediate and try to find some content that smaller scale fights that are fun. That's why we're going to doing more factions if easy, right? We can go invade the city and just it's like a one-way trip and faction.
Yeah.
Just do something there because those are more forgiving, more interesting content. You're gonna die at the end because they will counter because they are regearing from the city.
Yeah, they're regearing from the city. Do you guys run back out?
Usually no, yeah, because our colors like to go ham, and that's the bad thing on that aspect.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been a good interview. Is there anything else you'd like to go over before we let you go?
Not really. That's mostly it. It's Bacon's obviously a group more casual with the Going Ham Alliance. So anyone who's around would like to join in, you can find our details. Just searching our guild name will find you.
Mm-hmm.
The Alliance as well, if you are either be a smaller guild or even a more veteran guild, because as I said, we are mediating the approach where we are still new player friendly, we are still helping them, answering questions, fame farming, specking them up, doing all of these little things and getting them involved on this more developed content. Very not easy. You just have to learn once. And then the rest is fame farming your spec up, and then you will be fine. So if you anyone who's a guild like that, or even a veteran guild, we are open to grow, or you will grow with us, which is kind of the setup I'm trying to push.
I think that's awesome. I hope some.
We have bacon and eggs now, right?
Yeah,
2 times, because I had to split the small guilds so they can still play with us and be on the same Discord and have the same content, but they won't be part of our main Zergs, right?
Well,
so
even if they are, you want to split them up and use the same tactics as your opponents. Get into many different alliances, split them up so that they're not all getting on the same queue.
Yeah, if eggs ever gets to that point, it also creates those logistical things where it's hard to, like, you need to not have bacons and eggs not killing each other. Like, actually don't crack the eggs. That's the meme for the non-aggression pact breaches.
Yeah. Watch those AOEs and those clumps. You got to be careful of that.
It is. Yeah, we started
Friendly
getting into it. I mean, it's experience because that's how the meta works. You have to always be paying attention to tags and names,
Mhm.
and the more you train, the better you get at it.
Awesome.
We've been doing with Club. We've been doing pretty well when it works. Usually, when we wipe or face stupid issues, it's going to be because of a movement mistake. It's not because we lose the fight. It's because we did something, or didn't do it in time, or did it wrong, and then we get punished for it. But when it is with them and when it works, I mean, we wipe at Conflict once or twice when they have like 50, 60, 70, 80 on those battles, right? When it works, it works. When it doesn't work, we pay the bill.
Yeah, it can get expensive out there with those ZVZs when things don't go right. Do you want to give any shout outs to any of your teammates, your friends, anybody you're working politics with? You just want to give a quick, hey, how you doing?
I will obviously to our team on the Bacons, like economy officers that have been making money for this guild, spending like a bit of like 100 million a week in ZVZ. It's not fun. It needs us to get money. But we help the members. We regear the members. Like we managed to regear them on T8 now. So it's kind of a T8 equivalent. So it can get expensive, but we are managing. We are to our obviously to logistics, to the developers, especially like Nakul, Rylos, which created an amazing tool that pretty much automates our entire setup. Like we do everything. Regears are submitted, calculated, everything by API. It's all very pretty and nasty. It like saves us many, many, many hours of time to manage a guild and alliance of this size. To the entire team, especially the War Masters that have been, and the people joining ZVZs that have obviously have been having some tricky experiences because of the handholded fights, and they don't result on many good experiences. So I'm trying to fix it and make it more fun for everyone, and picking better fights or doing a better setup to counter those fights.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much to all the rest of the team for their work that is upkeeping and maintaining this guild, makes it be what it is, and the members and the community that makes it be the amazing type of family and friendly environment that it is, which is something that Albion needs more of.
Absolutely, and I'm glad we have the Bacons here to be that kind of atmosphere where people can enjoy themselves in a nice, friendly atmosphere and get started from the beginning and get into endgame content in the same group. We need more of that. So
you don't need any strict requirements with any mandatory stuff. It's just you shield, you hang out with us. We're gonna do ZVZ. We're gonna fight 700 squad, and you just started playing the game a week ago. Let's go. Like, yeah, that happens. That's Bacon's right now.
That's excellent. I'm glad that you guys are able to do that. Bring people in and then get them right away to the end game. And I think that's unique about Albion. It's pretty awesome. Bogul, do you have anything to add before we head out?
No. Mostly just thanks for your time. Very nice to hear from you guys. Good luck, of course, with all your endeavors. And yeah, see you around and let us know if there's any news to report on.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you when you conquer the world. It's gonna be soon.
Nice.
Everyone who isn't the Bacon is a vegan. That's my motto. Every time they come to fight us, we just spam vegans on chat. And freaks are recruiting for some reason. I think it's a meme.
It is a meme. It's I think that's what everybody says when they're trying to say their guild is full.
Yes, we are full. I've been struggling a lot to keep freeing spots on the guild, but yeah, we have 2 guilds full, 600 people on the Bacon's direct guild.
And that's the Bacon's, not just that's the Bacon's Alliance, which is basically the Bacon's Guild, and then you have Bacon and Eggs, which is full of smaller guilds that work alongside you as an alternate alliance, right?
So the main guilds are really under pressure on the recruitment front, but we've been managing. I mean, I just have to kick usually inactives and people who are edgy and stuff like that. I was trying to free a spot because we have high demand for the main guild. And Beats is where all the new players go on. They develop, and once they get developed enough, they join the main guild.
Okay.
And that's how we've been working. We've been improving that. I think we've been improving more from science the past week. We've been playing pretty much what the meta of this game is to some extent.
Mhm.
It's hard. It's not fun a lot of the times, which is why I was complaining. As you see, all the reality is. I wish that would start to change more so people can chill and have more fun content instead of this crazy and holding and queue system stuff where
that.
yeah.
People
On
want to have
Reset
good
Day-
fights. That's all they really care about. They want to have
They want-
fights, spend more time fighting than managing mechanics to get into a fight. I think that's what a lot of people are saying, yeah. But
It's I have trying to keep the morale like, guys, I know that we couldn't pick this fight because it's impossible for us, or we couldn't even get on a zone. Everyone gets like sad and frustrated, but I'm like, we're playing Albion, we're dealing with the same things that everyone else that is being dealing with, right? It's not me who can change it. Hopefully one day it changes and it gets better. We will just try to make the best out of it for now.
that's all you can do. All you can do is look at whatever the game's mechanics are and use those mechanics to the best of your ability without exploiting. And hopefully we can change some of those so that it feels a little bit less like an exploit. And I know there are changes coming to the way that people get into zones and the way that the queue timers work and stuff. And every month with the next patch, we see these things getting improved and improved and improved. And hopefully over time, we'll get right to that sweet spot where it works.
Well, on the reset, like we got pushed into our hideout, and 4 zones on our area were zone blocked. We couldn't leave. It's a terrible experience for people.
Yeah, that sucks.
You feel bad as a guild leader or the shot caller. You feel terrible because, that you wanted people to have fun and have a good experience, but what happened? It's not on your control, and you just feel like raging, like going to Germany and slapping someone at CBN. Fix it.
No transcontinental assaults here. Keep your hands inside the internet at all times. Do not reach outside the internet until the internet has come to a full stop.
I just try to speak with developers about these type of things, and we have nice conversations about it. They know exactly what's wrong and what they're trying to improve on. It takes time. Of course, they have the handheld reality to deal with, which is going to be the biggest challenge to try to make it so that there's more content on Outlands and not just 1-2 groups controls everything.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Until then, we're gonna continue doing our thing. So.
Well, keep fighting, man. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for talking with us. I appreciate it, and your insights on how it feels to be queued out are valuable. And I hope that you spend time on the forums discussing your issues. And I've read some of the stuff. It was well written, and you make some really good points. So thank you very much for that as well. And we look forward to doing another one of these after you have conquered the Outlands and defeated all of Squawk and Poe.
The vegans, I mean.
All the vegans, yeah.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Bye.